and I saw the list of speakers, I had to think, what can me as a business owner really bring to the table? And that's why for the next 15 minutes, I want to talk about this idea of earning while caring. Finding that intersection between your purpose and profit. Because I started my journey really as an entrepreneur in business. My parents, my siblings are all entrepreneurs. My grandfather is a business owner. My great-grandfather was an entrepreneur. So talking about business is very normal when we have lunch, when we have dinner. And my entrepreneurial journey started when I was grade 3 here in Xavier School, just in one of the classrooms over there. And I noticed back then, a lot of my friends had Walkmans. Now, I know this is a Gen Z crowd. I can see a lot of blank stares. Ano yun? Ano ang Walkman? I can see some people here asking ChatGPT, what's a Walkman? So, that's a Walkman. Okay? It's what people use to play music. The best explanation given to me before was my Gen Z assistant manager. So she said, a Walkman, that's an iPod that needs a cassette tape to have some music. And that's what I found out. I said people needed so much cassette tapes because one cassette tape could only hold on 2 hours of music. So I sold cassette tapes in grade 3. I sold about 100. And back then, my big purpose was so I can buy extra barbecue during recess. And some leftover, I donated to church when we go to church on Sunday. Because that's really the idea before of what profit and purpose was. It was always about trying to balance profit and purpose. If I have a lot of profit, I put that and donate it somewhere. I have a CSR department. Most of the big companies, they have a CSR department. And I need to generate profit so that, those departments can do whatever they want, support the charity. But what I want to instill in everyone here today is this idea that it's not about balancing. Because when profit goes down, the first thing that's taken out is the CSR budget. What I want us to look at is, how can I make a profit while fulfilling my purpose? That profit and purpose intersect. They're intertwined. That you're generating profit because exactly you're actually fulfilling your purpose. And I got exposed to this first in Unilever. I spent mga 10 years of my life doing global marketing in Unilever. And they were the first ones to talk about the purpose-driven marketing. That beyond profit, brands should serve a social good. That brands should have a bigger purpose. That's why you have brands such as Dove. They were one of the first to really talk about real beauty, breaking that stereotype of what beauty is about. Or the brand that I worked with was Sunsilk, a shampoo brand. But beyond selling shampoo, it was about trying to uplift and helping women open up to new possibilities. And that was satisfying for quite a few years. I spent about 10 years in Unilever, working in Bangkok, in Shanghai, eventually in London. But after a while, it didn't feel enough. I wanted to do something more direct. I wanted to come back to the Philippines and do something for the Philippines. And that's where my dad introduced to me FranCorp. FranCorp is a franchise consulting company. And I love the purpose of FranCorp because it was all about creating jobs. So FranCorp was here to generate jobs. And I love this idea of creating jobs because when a job is created, number one, you're giving someone income. Second, you're giving them a sense of identity. And third, something I just actually heard 2 weeks ago by a talk by Mayor Isko Moreno, former Mayor Isko Moreno, Yorme to a lot of us. Sabi niya, when jobs are created in Manila, crime goes down. So I love this idea na if we create more jobs, it has so much societal good. It's going to help a lot. And that's what FranCorp does. FranCorp creates jobs not for free. We do it because we help brands that want to franchise. We help brands, we help people become their own boss, because every franchise that opens creates dozens of new jobs. And I love this idea that we did not have a CSR department. I did not need a CSR department. Because what we do every single day, every time I'm able to help a client, I'm directly creating new jobs. And so I wanted to come back. So sabi ko, great, I love that purpose. I want to come back. And I'd love to say that, it's so easy. As soon as you find your North Star, as soon as you find your purpose, just jump, just go for it. But there are practical considerations. Back then, I was expecting a baby. I'd have to come back. I was an expat in Unilever. I was expatriated to London. If I came back, I would have had to take a 90% pay cut. I would be making less than I was when I started as a trainee in Unilever. And it's not easy. It's not easy to decide these things. But I knew I wanted to come back. And this is how you have to work on it. So I had to work on it. That's why I took my postgraduate in Oxford. I said, hey, I want to study. I want to see how can I grow. What else can I do to grow this business, to be able to come back, so that not only am I able to fulfill a purpose, I'm also able to combine that, with financial stability. And that's what I did. So I came back, and after 10 years in Unilever, I decided to come back and, to stop selling shampoo. So from a life of selling shampoo, I went to a life of creating jobs through franchising. And thankfully, we were able to grow the business. So we were able to grow the business. It became a lot more profitable, and it kept on allowing us to help a lot of people and to create even more jobs. Now, one of the biggest things I feel that I got from FranCorp is not financial. It's a fact that I was able to get exposed to a lot more entrepreneurs who mix profit and purpose. People such as Benjamin Lewson, the founder, the owner of the generics pharmacy. His purpose, what he wanted? He wanted to lower the healthcare cost in the Philippines. Because he said, when you go into a pharmacy before, a paracetamol cost 6 pesos. But he could see all over the world, you could get it at below 1 peso. So he started distributing medicines. They bought medicines, they were trying to sell it. But the pharmacies wouldn't take it, because they'd have to lower. They'd have less income if they sold this. So what he did, he opened one store just below his office. People started to flock. People came from all over Metro Manila, lining up to buy his medicines. And he knew he was onto something. So he scaled it up. He said he asked us to help him with franchising. He scaled up to about 900 stores in 3 years. And then later on, about 2,000 stores in about 8 years. So because of that business model he found, he's now able to help millions of Filipinos gain affordable medication. Not only that, he's also helped generate about 10,000 new jobs. Another inspiration for me is Mr. Dante Tiosan. Not many of you would know him. Dante Tiosan's a visually impaired entrepreneur. His mission, he said, he wants to help his fellow visually impaired individuals. Because he saw in the Philippines, if you're blind, government comes in, trains you how to do a massage, because they have superior sense of touch. And so he saw there were 100 trained individuals, but they couldn't get clients. Because they couldn't just approach someone, they couldn't go to home service and find their clients. So what he did, he got a few of them, about 5 or 6 of them, Open Vibes Massage, visually impaired brotherhood for excellent service. And true enough, he opened that, people came. People kept coming and coming back. And he wanted to scale that up as well. I'm happy he approached us. We helped him develop a franchise program. And he wanted the franchisees to also be visually impaired. So we had to create an audio operations manual, everything, None of the current technology we had would work. So we had to get everything audio. And I met Mr. Tiosan in 2018. It was their 10th year anniversary. And he was telling me he already has 60 stores. He's helping 800 blind individuals. In fact, his biggest problem was he was running out of people to hire. His joke back then, pag nasa mall daw siya, gusto niyang sundutin yung mga mata ng mga tao para lang may bago siyang bulag na matulungan. Imagine that. Imagine if you set yourself out on a purpose and you find yourself to a point where you're running out of people to help just because he's able to combine profit and purpose. And so, profit is here to multiply our impact. Purpose is here to steer us. So your purpose is critical. It will help steer you towards the right direction and avoid going down the wrong path. But I challenge you that you need to also think of how to multiply that impact. For jobs, for example, if I wanted to create jobs, I could have come back and said, okay, I'll join the DTI. Or maybe, I'll be a recruiter. I'll do talks to train people how to find jobs, how to create jobs. But then I realized with that, I would have been able to help 10 people, 20 people at a time. But because we have a business model that generates profit, that becomes sustainable, the franchise industries help create over 2 million jobs. And the critical thing as well is that when times are hard, it is this intersection that helps get you through. We all just went through the pandemic. And imagine, most of our clients had to temporarily close their businesses. They were fighting for their survival. So they could not afford consulting companies. Most of them stopped paying us. And of course, we allowed them to do that because they needed the money to keep the employees they could keep. But because of our purpose, if all we wanted was profit, I should have fired most of my team. I should have conserved as much as cash because we didn't have clients. But our purpose was creating jobs. And we were very clear. We can't be the people creating jobs, but at the same time, we couldn't even keep the 60 people that was working for us. So early on, we decided we will keep their jobs. We will keep their income. We will do what we can. But that's only enabled because of the profits we generated beforehand, of the savings we had. And that's the importance of finding this intersection. You could also have a purpose of helping farmers, getting into food and hunger. And you could go directly to some farmers, you could buy products from farmers. And during the pandemic, many people bought, a lot of produce from farmers and started selling it direct to communities. And that's good. If you can find a way to directly help, go help. But that helped 1 or 2 farmers at a time. You always have to think, challenge yourself, how can I multiply that impact? Because the effort to help 5 people is probably the same effort to help 5,000, 50,000. It just requires a change in mindset. My auntie, for example, tried to connect farmers, farmers with their misshapen vegetables, small potatoes that no one would buy, that the groceries wouldn't buy. They tried to directly connect the farmers with restaurant owners who didn't mind if something's misshapen, if there's a bit of a dent in a cucumber. They still needed it as long as it tasted good. So with that, they were able to connect them. They've helped over 70,000 farmers and about 10,000 businesses. And there's also these 2 friends of mine. I use numbers of 70,000, 2 million. It sounds like a lot. But 2 friends of mine, all they wanted was to uplift women in poverty. At first, they tried to just donate to them. The usual, donate, do fundraising for communities. But what they did finally is said, that's not sustainable. So they actually trained them to do housekeeping, professional housekeeping, and cited happy helpers. They get homeowners, condo owners who want their condos cleaned by someone professional and trustworthy. And they created a business out of it. They've helped over 3 different communities now, about 80 plus women being helped. And so, as I end my talk, I want you to think, as you find your purpose, as you find your North Star, always think of how can you multiply that effort. And it doesn't have to be business, whether in a school organization, your next fundraising drive. Don't just rely on donations and how can I get, because that may not be sustainable. Think of how can you create a business model that allows you to scale that up to make it more sustainable. And I want to end with this quote from Mr. Dante Tiosan. It's good to earn while caring. Thank you very much.